Good morning, preppers. Of course, as we prepare, stockpiling food and everything else to prepare for possible World War III, depression, cataclysmic changes, we want to be able to keep an eye on the news and things that are happening around the world. Let's jump right into this. This is very interesting and a little frightening in my part, and I'd like to get your opinion on this too. This is the Washington Times. China establishes a police station in New York City. That's really odd. Right off the bat, I'm going to say, well, how can they establish a police station? Like if I just had to go ahead as a U.S. citizen, decide to go into town and say, I'm going to set up my own police station here, it's not going to be allowed. There's the whole term of taking the law in your own hands comes into play. All right, so let's keep going and see what this is all about. Chinese government established an overseas police station services or service stations, keeping track of its citizens, 1 in New York, 3 in Toronto, according to a watchdog group. Let's see. And last month, there was 110 overseas stations to help the Chinese Communist Party by cracking down on all kinds of illegal and criminal activities overseas. Now, the main criminal activities we're looking at are fraud and telecommunications, which right there, that raises some flags for me. Because instead of actually being something that cracks down on their citizens, which although I'm not saying they're not doing that, the Chinese are notorious for cracking down on their citizens, the way that socialist country works. But I could easily see this as being some kind of intelligence outpost. I don't know if you know it, but the CIA, they do have a CIA per se, and they do have an FBI per se, but they're actually one and the same in China. So they could easily set it up that their policing activities are also set on espionage and spying on us as well. You have to wonder about those things. And also, I'll say it again, how in the world are they allowed to do this? To me, that seems like it should be absolutely illegal, and perhaps it is. And maybe that's why the watchdog group has completely decided to go ahead and show what's happening here. All right, let's see anything else. Yeah, okay. Now, right here too, look at this. It says that they actually will have intimidation and imprisoning criminal targets' families and proxy threats to try to get them to voluntarily return to face persecution, or not persecution, but to face judgment or whatever they call it in China. Okay. China has opened police stations in the U.S. and Canada to monitor. This is very close to the same article. In fact, it has a lot of the same news, which of course it shows it's all packaged in one thing for everything. But carrying out policing operations on foreign soil. There are 54 stations in 30 different countries. You can see on here, London, Amsterdam, Prague, Budapest, etc. Lots and lots of different countries we find this in. And if we go down here, let's see, again, they're trying to get them to voluntarily come back. And of course, we talked about they do harassment, intimidation techniques, etc., all the way down to try to get them to voluntarily go back to work again or go back to China. Okay, now let's change things a little bit. Look at this. And same kind of title, China's opened illegal police stations. And there's the keyword illegal police stations. I mean, not a lawyer, obviously, not even close to being a lawyer, but I would like to know what laws are here to making this illegal. And it's interesting because as you go through this, it says right here, according to the reports, the government has opened several illegal stations like Europe, UK, US, Canada, and Ireland. Yeah. And the revelation comes amid China's quest to emerge as a global superpower. We've been talking about this. When we're talking about a switch for the new world order, we're going to see that in our lifetime, that the United States will no longer take the economic reign as the top of the world. There's a change every so many, like 50 so years, 7 years, where it's going to change. The U.S. took it from Britain, which took it from the Dutch, et cetera, and it goes back in time forever. So we could definitely see this as being the next step where China wants to be that new superpower in the world, and this could be simply just another step that they have. But look at this. This is important. The police stations are affiliated with the Public Service Bureau in Canada and have set up as an antagonist of Chinese adversaries. So what we're looking at is this is affiliated with Canada's Public Security Bureau. Wait, what? They're actually joining up with Canada in this situation? They absolutely are. China has reported called these facilities vocational skill training centers. I love that. Does that sound propaganda or not? They deem necessary to counter extremism and improve livelihoods by beating the snot out of people until they confess. That sounds like what's happening here. Okay, so let's go ahead and take it to the next level. Is China opening illegal police stations across the world? Well, indeed they are. And again, it talks about that same Public Service Bureau, set up in Canada. But you have to wonder how they get here in the United States or other countries too. It says, or in Canada and Ireland, the opening of the stations by China has triggered concerns by human rights. I see it more than just human rights. Human rights are a big problem too, but I see it as in spying and other kind of problems too. I mean, obviously, they spy on us through all kinds of things, even like TikTok as well. But here's basically what I'm going to end with. Countries like Ukraine, France, Spain, Germany, and the UK have such arrangements for these Chinese police stations. And that's what I want to show you, and that's what I want to talk about here, because this is not simply just, hey, what's going on? China's in our country setting up a police station in New York City. All the other countries, or at least many of the countries listed there, have arrangements allowing China to do so. So do we? And so here's the way I see it. I see this as being illegal. Again, I'm not an attorney. I see this as basically setting up possibly a station for intelligence. It is humanitarian, obviously, problems with these Chinese citizens who are voluntarily, I'll beat you until you volunteer, but voluntarily sending them back to China for prosecution. But the bigger question I have is this. Do you think they're in New York City without our authorization? All these other countries that just admitted, yeah, we have an arrangement letting them do that. It sounds like to me in New York City and the United States, it's being allowed. Why in the world are we allowing what is perceived as being a threat? On one side, our government says, China, you better not invade Taiwan, et cetera, more rhetoric. Then another note, but you can go ahead and set up a police station right here on American soil. And this is actually where a watchdog group announced it. How many other ones are here? How many ones have not been uncovered? Obviously, we have safe houses and listening posts across the country where the Chinese and other adversaries are located. But this is a police station in our country where, as a U.S. citizen, we couldn't set up a police station and do this. We would not be allowed, nor should we even try, in my opinion. I like local police. I think they do a fine job. Anyways, a little food for thought on this as far as the direction we're heading as far as this New World Order. And I am literally trying to wrap my head around this and trying to figure out what their ultimate goal is. And that's where you come in. I would like to know what you think about this as well. Please, by all means, put comments in the comment section below and tell me what you think is going on. Is there something more nefarious going on, or is this simply just them trying to crack down on their citizens? I'm wondering. Please comment.